At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Ja.
Hi, and welcome to Focus on Liberia. I'm your host today, Dr. Clarence R. Pearson, and we are going to be discussing issues surrounding the University of Liberia. We have a challenge at the University of Liberia, a standoff between the administration of the University of Liberia, the faculty, and the staff associations. There are a couple of issues plaguing the university just beyond the faculty and the teaching staff and the administrative staff with the administration. So we will be looking at those issues, what are obtaining, and we will be discussing what could be possibly the way forward. So those will be the issues that we will be discussing today. And I will be having a few of panelists with me on the show today, hoping they will join us right in time so we can get this ball rolling when the time comes. But again, yes, I'm Dr. Pearson, and it's good having you on with me. Please share this show. If you're tuning in, welcome to Focus on Liberia. Please share the show. Share this show. I'm doing the same. So let's share this show. So let's talk about the University of Liberia. We all know that the University of Liberia, the flagship institution of learning in our country, the lux in tenebris, as we call it. A lot of us Liberians pass through the walls of the University of Liberia. And a lot of us have had opportunity to not just pass through the walls, but to be beneficiary of that university. A lot of Liberians who pass through through the walls of the University of Liberia rather, are also some of the most outstanding sons and daughters of our country. So yes, we all are passionate about this university. And once the university has an issue, it is indeed a concern for us, and we delve into those issues and try to understand what is going on there, and we can lend our voice as to understanding what's the way forward. I want to welcome Joseph Otawo on the show tonight. He's just joining us. Joe, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks, Doc. I'm glad to be here and how to our viewers.
All right. I'm looking forward to an exciting conversation tonight. But let us give our viewers a little brief history. I know we'll get into the detail of this conversation while we are with others to join us. But I want you to join me. Let us just give a brief summary of what the University of Liberia is in terms of its history. Do you want to give it a shot?
Yeah, I don't have that much history of the university, but what I know is that the university started in it was pretty much like a high school, I think, and then from there, as the need for higher education came about, it was upgraded. And when I was growing up as a kid, the university was actually very prestigious because I have uncles and cousins and some older brothers that actually went to the university, and you have people coming from all over Africa to actually come study at the university. And I think what happened is that that trajectory on developing the university beyond just what it was did not happen. I want to believe the growth got stunted when the coup took over. People got distracted. There were power struggle. There were different areas of interest. And then the university just started to go down, and then the war did not make it any better. And then since the war, everything just digressed. And I think that it's what we are still trying to grapple with and deal with today.
Well, those are unfair facts of the University of Liberia, and I want to say thank you, Otawo, for bringing us up to speed with some of the history of Liberia. If you just joining us, welcome to Focus on Liberia. We will be discussing the University of Liberia today. The University of Liberia is in crisis. I want to talk about University of Liberia, the standoff between the school administration, the UL administration, and the faculty and staff associations. Let us provide additional information just before we go into our topics for tonight. Yes, in 1858, the cornerstone for Liberia College, which was the first college of the University of Liberia, was laid. It was launched in 1858, called the Liberian College. By January 25th, early support came from the New York Colonization Society and what they call the trustees, the trustees of the Nation for Education in Liberia, called TDEL at the time. All right. Additional information we can provide you tonight as I try to share this show, please share as well. By 1862, Liberia College was established. Joseph Jenkins Roberts became the first president. And then we move on to 1863. The college begins instruction with very small inaugural student body and faculty, including Edward Wilmot Bladin. A lot of us know Edmund Wilmot Bladin. He's one of Africa's best. And during this period in the 1800s, between the 1860s and the 70s, Edmund Wilmot Bladin was well known in West Africa for his contribution to education as well. He is well known also in Freetown, Sierra Leone, where they have a monument to his honor there. And when I went to Sierra Leone and saw his monument, I was very impressed with what level of respect they have for him there. And Tao, when I did my master's thesis at the University of Liberia, I did go to collaborate with my master's field study in Freetown, because I was studying the truth and reconciliation process of Liberia and then the TRC in Sierra Leone. Right. Yeah. So I had to draw some comparative analysis between the two processes and how they came out, and Sierra Leone came out on top over Liberia. I was trying to understand our dynamics, and I was fortunate to have met with the TRC chairman, Bishop Ampa, and I had an interview with him. They got that picture when you see me, I look very dry and skinny coming out of the war. But I took my studies very serious. That's how serious that I took education at the time. I went there, and the student union from the Frobe College joined me to have my survey conducted across Freetown with civil society, women's group, ECOWAS group, UN group, the army they had there at the time, the police, the press union, and I had a wide range of interview across Freetown. The Council of Churches and everything, the Muslim community, to help get an idea what was going on with the peace process compared to Liberia. It was a very rewarding experience. So yeah, Edmund Wilmot Bladin, when I went there, I was very impressed with how much respect they have for him. And by 1866, early commencement, the first commencement of the UL was held, and they had just one graduate. The first graduate ever to come out of UL was James Henry Evans. James Henry Evans, and that was in 1866. James Evans was the first graduate of the UL. And the last time on the show, Eastman made us understand, the first kind of a population of LD at that time was around like 7 students, stuff like that, per semester. Very, very low enrollment at the time. But we can understand why. You can understand why the LU, like we said last time, was primarily initiated as an opportunity to boost, according to them, development of human resources for the new state that they have formed in 1847. And we all understood also clearly that the university, the Liberian College at the time, in the liberal arts section, mainly focused on building people that will lead the nation after its formation. So it was just for an elite group of people, Ottawa, like I argued it last time. And the reason for that, even if the indigenous people wanted to be a part of it, you know, education, especially for higher education, is a step process, right? You have to first learn the language in which the school is operating. And people all know people had local languages and local culture that was not very much akin to that of the Western culture. And you will elaborate more on that, Tao. And then at the time people would take to graduate through the process of early education to get to the level of college education, that took them time. So we can see why there were some delays in the process also. But with that brief background given, let's delve into the conversation today. And this is the conversation for the day. The UL Administration and Faculty Staff Associations, the administration of the UL and the faculty and the staff associations are having a standoff. I think just for us to get this conversation started, I want to ask you and just tease this out from you, Tao.
Yes.
At this time in Liberia, coming out of war and all that we've gone through and trying to rebuild since Ellen took office from 2005 to now, right? Mm-hmm. Is this a conversation we should be having? Let us just start from there. Is this a conversation we should be having?
Really, this should not be the conversation if the right systems and structures were put in place, especially in terms of resource management and our focus on where we actually needed to take the country. And I think every time this is always missed. It was missed in 1822 or 1847. It was missed in 1980. It's like when each group take over, nobody really trying to look at where they need to take the country, right? Because your education or your educational system will determine that, because that is where you're producing people from, right? So because that was not put in place. So that is what we have here. You know, I was looking, when I got your topics, I went ahead and I pretty much stopped work and I started to do some research just across the whole of Africa, first across the region, the West African region, and then across the whole of Africa, and then try to look at the US. When I go to Ghana, Ivory Coast, Senegal, these French-speaking countries, or East Africa, I actually see actual information on the websites of the universities and the government on how much the president or the chancellors make. But in Liberia, you barely can find out. I went to the university website and I checked, and all you see is projections like between 15 to 20,000. But that is good enough. Let's just take that number, because we are talking about the go slow action that in fact they are putting up, right? Why is the president of the Republic of Liberia University making $15,000 to $20,000 a month? While the lecturers are making $400? Why it range from, if you're just a lecturer, you make from 400 from the university itself to around 700. If you're a professor, you make between 1,200 to 2,500. Okay, let's take that number and then look at the gap. 15 to 20,000 for the president. And that is just the president. Now, all the top people, if you look in the range of the top people, they're all making between 10, 12, 11, 9,000. Then I went to Ghana, because we all look at Ghana as one country that is doing well, right? That we go and we actually get training and stuff from. Then I look at Ghana, and across Ghana, the lecturers make very close to what we make in Liberia, around 250 US to like around 400. Then the professors make between about, depending if they're research professors, so like about 800 to like around 1,000, 1,005. So Liberian professor even make more than Ghanaian professors. Then, do you know what the difference is between those professors and the president or the chancellor of the publicly run universities? between 3,500 to 4,000 US dollars. So you see how that makes some sense. But in Liberia, it jumped from 2,500, and the chancellor makes about 20 grand, 15, 20 grand. So these things are always going to be an issue. And we see this across all of the area. You have the regular salary in Liberia for the civil servant that actually really run the country, 150, 200. But then the head of those agencies and ministries are making tens of thousands of dollars, 15, 20,000. So these are the you are muted though. So these are the problems that the person that we are having. And so these people are going slow. And not only that, but the professors are making this and the lecturers, and they don't even receive the money.
Thank you, Tao. So, but that's why I say we should start from this question. Should we even be having this conversation at this time? Like,
no, we shouldn't.
Yeah. That's what is mind-boggling to me. Should we even be having? Is this the kind of conversation that we should be having about the flagship university within Liberia? Should we be having this kind of conversation, or we should be talking about better things for the university, like where the university is making advances, some of the things that is making progress in, and how we can add value to those things? Shouldn't we be talking about the bigger things that the university are doing, other than talking about there's a standoff between the administration and the faculty and the staff?
Yeah, and that is you are right, Dr. Pearson. That is what we're supposed to be discussing. So this is where Liberia is always stuck in the 1800s or in the 1980s, right? Because you are right. At this stage, why should we be having these discussions? Okay, the university on average, the government created a $47 million budget. You can say, oh, it's not much, right? But there is a $47 million budget. Then Asla Meta, I went and I checked. Asla Meta, all of the mining companies and the major corporations in Liberia also make donations. What I checked from the final, you see, that's the thing about Liberia. These donations are not made public for you to see it. So you don't even know what their donations actually amounted to. And we thought this lady coming in would make, because she was the one that went around to raise this money to actually push these companies. We thought that she would make this to be public so we can know actually based on government budget for the university versus sponsors how much actual income. It doesn't exist. When I go to another university in Ghana, I can see it. If I go to Kenya, I can see it. But I come to Liberia, it doesn't exist. So now let's just say even if they give another 4 million or 3 million, that's about $50 million. Are they telling me, is the president telling us that they are not able to pay the people, the people that are actually supposed to be responsible to work? So like you said, what we should be discussing is the president pay all these people, and there are different programs that are supposed to move the university forward to, and then there is this discussion that there is no money for that, to add this or add that, or to train this amount of people in this kind of field. That's the kind of discussion at least we should be having. You see?
Thank you, Tao. So let me play the voice of the University of Liberia, the president of the University of Liberia, and and then let me get your impression. Just listen to this.
Things that are happening new right now, but there are a lot of things that have been evolving over time too. You know, I'm a person that when I came to the university, my first job was to analyze the situation, to listen to people, to see what kind of problems I needed to help with, and then to start working on solutions. And so a lot of the problems, as everyone knows, that UL has are problems of long standing. They're complicated situations that didn't develop overnight. And they require in-depth solutions that really take, a long perspective or a long.
What do you make of what she said? So she said when she took over, her first intention was, and I think any seasoned administrator will do the same. She said the first thing she did when she took over was to conduct an assessment of the situation in the university, and she found that a lot of the issues in university were complex and long-standing. What does that say to you after almost 100 years in existence of this university?
We always know that what the university is not separate from the state, because what she explained there is exactly where the state itself is. There are a lot of long-standing issues that have not been addressed for us to clearly define how to move forward and where, in which direction we should move in. So that's the same problem that she's facing at the university. Look, Dr. Pearson, you were in Liberia. You had the opportunity as a much younger man, you're still a young man, but as a much younger man, to kind of be close to government. And you see that it's very difficult to run those governments that you see set up in Africa. The corruption is one thing, but actually trying to make it work is a very difficult stuff. Look, I'm in administration in many areas myself, and I know how difficult it is. But when you get to a place where things have been done backward or in a way where it doesn't function, it's not that easy. So yes, I agree with what she's saying. But where my question is that one of the long-standing issues, it shouldn't be salaries for the people that cannot be part of it. I don't think so, because that is one thing that you should grab and you should be very efficient on. Because this lady came in, she pushed, they increased the budget. If the budget was not enough to pay these people, she should have spoken out, had a press conference that, hey, this came in, we're not going to be able to pay people. But I went in, I started to read. I don't know how truthfully some of the discussion points were, or some of the publishing, but that some of these people have not gotten their benefits. Present past, that one past, that's something else, but the ones that are working now, that they were promised that the salary structure was going to be upgraded. She been there now a little over a year, and nothing has really happened. And the ones that are working presently, they really are not getting paid. So that should not be, she can't class that as part of the long-standing issue, because there should be money available now, at least to solve the present problems. Then we can try to look at, okay, the problem in the background, how do we look at it, analyze it to kind of improve it, to make it better?
And thank you. I think you're buffering there for a while, but you're back on. Thank you. So Mr. Tower, you struck a very good point, because I mean, what we're going now, are trying for us to understand what the issues are, because she said even when she got there, she met complex issues there from her assessment. So, but one of the things you mentioned earlier that struck me was that when institutions like these are created, they are created to address the current need of the people, to address the nation's needs. So if the guys who started this whole project, if the intention was to say address the need for quality education for leaders at the time, then my concern there is this. So at what point did we realize that moving on at a newer generation? Can you hear me?
I'm hearing you.
Can you hear me?
I hear you. I hear you, Dr. Pearson.
Yeah, I thought we were frozen for a while. So
No,
I'm wondering to myself, yeah, at what point in time did we realize that the country had grabbed and moved on a little bit, right? That the country had moved on a little bit. So maybe say the early founders, Joseph Jenkins Roberts, then created a little of my internet trying to buffer.
Yeah,
Since
your internet, yeah.
Since the 80s to now, since we took over, have we been able to sit down, like you normally would say, Africa needs to tailor its governance, its education towards its culture, its own tradition, its own what works for Africa, right? So have Liberians been able to sit down and look at these long-standing complex issues that Makpanya said it's been there for a long time, And LB been there for more than 160 years. 163, 64 years.
Yes.
Have we been able to sit down and retail this thing to work for us?
So Dr. Pearson, you know, when this lady was appointed about a little over a year ago, I was on one of these shows and I said that she was not going to be able to help Liberia. She was not going to be able to help the university. I said that she did not have what Liberia was looking for. She did not come from the background to understand that she came from the West, not just because of America, even if she came from China, that she did not have the orientation to go in, because what she would bring in, like most of us would do, is what we know from the West, or we were educated and we lived in China, from China. And I said that, and everybody jumped all over me. Okay, since this lady took over, remember the point that we're making here, that for us to see where our challenges are and for us to see what we need to move the university or the country, right? Look at some of the things that she introduced. I went there, and these are new. Gender study. These are the things that are dominating these are the colleges that are dominating since she came there. And somebody pointed that out, and I went to her store. That was one of her specialties here in the US. Gender studies, where they're coming with this stuff that they're doing here in the West, creating tension between male and female, putting them at local head instead of trying to come together somehow to work, that there is some kind of struggle between the both gender. That is what Dr. Mapaya is specializing. That is her specialty. So she came there, go and look, my brother, go and look at the curriculum or the different colleges. Gender studies, or general studies. These are the things that the lady introduced. She could not do anything other than what she already know. And these are not, it's not that those areas are not important, but that is not what we are looking for. What are our challenges now?
No,
what are the areas supposed to be developed?
But Brother Tayo, somebody could push back and say Liberians have been in charge of University of Liberia since after 1979 coup. All right, the overthrow of President Topical. Liberians have been in charge of University of Liberia up until Madam Kwanya was appointed by the president. So we had this thing with us since 1980 to 2004, 2000. So what I said that we did not do ourselves, that you think she didn't bring that we could have brought to the table as Liberians. No, but Dr. Pearson, remember, I agree with you 100%. That is why I said that we keep missing the mark, right? I said we missed it in 1980, also when the so-called indigenous people took over. So, but her coming in, look, this lady, there is nothing. She probably can actually do a good job, but it's just that what she is bringing now is not what we need. I'm not saying that we ourselves that was there at that point that we knew what we're doing or that we did everything correctly. No. Look, we are not identifying what we need. If we identify truly what we need in Liberia, that will determine who we put in position. But I think hiring the lady was just something about prestige. That she comes from the US. That's associated with some kind of university or college. So let me interject there. So I have this perspective, right? You know, the university is not just run by the president, right? We got the faculty senate, we got different departments, we got different leadership, right? We got the Liberia Higher Institution Learning Commission, right? We got Ministry of Education, who and Higher Commission, they all take care of the curriculum, other than the direct curriculum and stuff like that. Now, I would think to myself, you think if we had the capacity, like you're saying, to deep dive into understanding what Liberia needs at the University of Liberia and lay the foundation as to what we need, it wouldn't matter who we bring to president the University of Liberia, would it? No, exactly, it wouldn't, because you will have an entire agenda on where you want this institution to go. So now you're bringing a professional to follow that trend. And I made a statement here that until we have it, and that is the struggle that some of the people that are coming from the diaspora, that they also are facing, the ones that are good, I want to do something, because they're coming to an area with no structure, with no sense of direction.
with no actual framework in which they can operate for them to lend their expertise. As a result, they just get stuck in or so say one, so say all. So it's the same thing she's struggling with. And so based on that, I said that she was not going to be able to succeed that easily because she was coming to a system and she is not in the position to be able to build that particular system that you just described, that all of the structures are put in place and a clear vision is laid out. You can bring anybody at that point that have the capability to work in that kind of system. That is what we keep missing.
So in this case, what do we do then? So what can we do? And maybe I can keep that for last because I think the last question will answer that. But let hear now this time around. Let hear some of the issues that she has to read out. If you don't mind, just listen.
Yeah, let's go.
I'm trying to get this on, and then
the volume is low.
Yeah, let me get the volume up and see what we get from her.
You know, I, like everybody else, was appalled at the state of the bathrooms and really vexed by the fact that, you know, people's dignity was just not respected with the condition of the bathrooms. I thought that I'd be able to fix them quickly, but when I took a deeper look, I saw that the reason that the bathrooms were in bad shape wasn't the bathrooms themselves, but it was actually the water system, and the water system problem was attributable to the electricity problem. So
how do you need a scientist to have told us Liberians since the end of the Civil War that was the contributing factor to us not having proper latrine system for the University of Liberia, main campus in Fender?
Oh, we know that. We already knew that. And remember, I don't even think the Fender campus even connected to any real major sewage system. I think it's some kind of small septic tanks and stuff that probably have a backflow. But Dr. Pearson, what does it really take to even just have light and water system just in one building? Just one building or a couple of buildings in that is just a school system. This is complete neglect. Look, that is why I said here. I said this about a year and a half ago, or almost a year and a half ago, that this lady was going to struggle. This lady come from an environment where structures and systems are set in place for them to work. So why is she coming in trying to struggle with plumbing issues? That is not what the president should be dealing with. Why is she coming into a struggle with electricity issues? Those things should already be there and in place. Then later supposed to be dealing with policies, drawing out different ideas and consulting with different sectors across the society, maybe across the world, looking at what we need and what needs to be done to move things in that direction. Not coming here to be worried about that a toilet is not working. So look at how far she's being pulled away from where she's supposed to be. I saw this. I mentioned this. It's recorded here that she was going to struggle, that she was coming to a place with no structure, with no sense of direction. There was no vision. So they expect this lady to come in and be the plumber, be the janitor, be the landscaper, be the repair woman, and everything else. And then while leading it, it's not possible.
Let's listen to her further on the same issue.
Got to thinking about how can we solve electricity, water, and bathrooms at the root level, not just slap up some new fixtures, but actually to make the system better from the root.
You hear the part where she mentioned she's interested in solving problems at a UL, but she at her level she says she wants to deal with it at the root. But the point here is that why haven't we? You know, that's why I'm struggling because I myself been at LU campus. I couldn't even use the restroom there, right? When I was doing my master's, I had to go to my office when I wanted to use the restroom. Then come back because my office on the bypass. Then come back on the campus to go and do my studies. I never went there and used the bathroom at the main campus. Never. Because it was always deplorable, right? But the question I'm asking myself here is that how can we miss it as a nation, the flagship institution of learning of our country? We have not gotten something as simple as properly functional latrine.
Yeah. So Dr. Pearson, you see, you listen to the lady over there. She is mentioning something that she cannot solve. This is something that is outside of her scope. So she can solve it at the root level. She can only solve it at the level of the university. So it means, what I mean is, it is working at the root level and the problem is localized at the university. Then that is, if she got involved, that is what she can solve. But this problem goes beyond the university and is actually at a national level. So is she going to go ahead and start dealing with the lawmakers about trying to invest more in electricity, trying to invest more into sanitation? But that is where the root level is. So it's a complete failure. That is why I say here that Liberia was a failed experiment. Look, forget about the fact that the war came in 1990. But remember, from 1847 until 1980, that's 133 years. Not that much were really working in Liberia. Okay? Liberia was only closed up into Monrovia. The vision that was laid out for Liberia, that was very selfish and self-centered, that a small area where a small group of people live, is where things should function correctly, and the rest of the nation was just left to waste. It's that same trend that we are also following, which is wrong. When Doden came in, they followed that same trend. They failed. The so-called progressive, they followed that same trend. They failed. And now, when Ellen came in, they followed the same trend. Why was the Ellen government in power? 12 years after, within 12 years, that they knew that the most critical issue, she's an economist, according to herself, that if you don't have power, you have no life, that the power issue was not addressed aggressively.
So the sanitation and the water. Let you out completely on this issue, because I think she did try to find a temporary fix. But in my mind, when I listen to it, I don't think that temporary fix is going to be sustainable. But let you out.
And so after considering a lot of different solutions, I settled on a solar-powered bathroom solution that would allow us to add 26 new bathrooms at Fendel campus, brand new bathrooms, solar-powered, so that the water supply would always be flowing because the electricity would always be available. And I thought, wow, while we're putting up these bathrooms, since we're going to have so much solar power there, why not add a mini student center where students can also go relax, recharge their devices, get a little bit of work done, and just be in a hospitable environment. So the whole concept was a pilot project. It's nearly done. It would have been done a little sooner if we wouldn't have the geopolitical crisis in the Middle East that slowed down the ship that was bringing the solar supplies from China. But that ship is here now, and it won't be long before we're breaking ground on 26 new bathrooms. So that kind of shows you how I think. I don't just come in and run in and say, let me just make it look good right away. I want to figure out what the problem is. I want to solve the problem, and then I want to leave something that's lasting, that will endure far beyond my own time for the University of Liberia to benefit from. Well, there are a lot of things that are happening.
So when I listen to her, like you're saying, the primary root problem would be to have proper electricity in Liberia. Like people normally say, investment does not happen in a vacuum of electricity, like water, and good health, right? In the absence of those things, it's not going to function, because a sick man cannot go to work.
Nope.
Even if you wanted to build a big factory or a big manufacturing plant, if they don't have electricity, production price will go up. If you don't have running water, safe drinking water, I think people are going to get sick as well. A strong factory trying to function without proper access to water is not going to work. So the point is, why is it that our budgets all of these years have not focused on addressing those primary needs that will have a trickle-down effect, or what they call cascading effect, on the economy of the country to boom our developmental process? Why? I can wrap my mind around it, Tahoe.
Yeah, so look at what happened here, Dr. Pearson. Remember, there are two different things here that the doctor is dealing with, and she is being bogged down into an area that she shouldn't really be tied down into like that. Infrastructure, trying to get the infrastructure up and running. Where is she getting this money from? Or who did she talk to? How did this money raised? It's the government that the president that actually brought her and decided that he will work with 100%. Is he aware of these things? The 10 million that is being used to build a conference center in Foya, wherever, could this money have been used to revamp the entire university and get all of this stuff going? Yeah, that is a temporary problem. I understand a little bit more about solar. It's just a matter of time. It's very limiting. It is not something that you can actually depend on for you to run lab and all of this stuff in a sustained way. It's always a complementary system to a power grid. You see? So yes, she's trying to find short-term solution, but it's really not going to work that well because look, Dr. Pearson, let me say this, which you already know. If a country is going to move forward in any of it, in terms of development or so, you have to look at the country's budget and how funds are allocated. Look at Liberia's budget all through. Let's just say we start from 2006 and then coming all the way to present. Look at it. What does it tell you? It tells you about people who prioritize something else. The priority the Liberian government system have now, or governing system have now, is to pay salaries and benefits and stipends. That is it. It is not intended to invest in institutions or in the people in any way. You can see it. So why is this lady running around? You brought her in as the president. And you're right there on Capitol Hill together, pretty much. Because that's what the main campus is, or the old campus. And here she is struggling, going all over the place. Okay, but what happened on July 26th? They went for 1 week. When did you ever see us? 1 week celebration. Do you know how much money that was? So these are some of the things. So yeah, it's a failure of the state. You know, I posted something and you acknowledge it, right? Where Guinea have decided that they're not going to refine their bauxite. And then if you look at that stuff further, the next step is for them to start producing aluminum at home. And so I posted, I said, this is where Liberia should be moving. And you say you agree. And then Michael Padmore came in, if he's watching. He said, if you do that, look, I would just be more corrupt. And I agree with him. Because every time an opportunity comes for any kind of development, all the guys in government, especially in our house, they jump in. Why would the guy have interest in letting the universities run very well when they are building their own universities? Why would they pass better policy to put more money in there? When they're running there, so it need to be stopped. That need to be illegal. Look at Prince Johnson. All that money that they spent in Nima, put that there. The moment he died, what happened? The place is shut down. Instead of them investing, a prince then had pushed to invest in the state, in the county, where the university system, the school system belong to the county. Guess what? It will still be running.
They got the Nima University there.
Yeah, but why couldn't they put that money there to improve
the
that?
Nima Community College, and
why couldn't they put the money in there to improve that?
Yeah.
And this is my problem that I have with government officials trying to run private project like we're saying here. The guy that is the director of JFK have his own private hospital. This thing need to be stopped. It need to be stopped.
I agree with that, Tao. So if you view us, this is Focus on Liberia. We are having topical issues, and today we're discussing the University of Liberia a crisis. They have there's a standoff between the University of Liberia administration and the faculty and the staff associations. Let me take us to another clip from the you mentioned the issue about the salary, and that's one of the sticky area of the university right now. Stand up where the university were deducting monies from this guy for the NASCAR for the pension money, but now remitting it to NASCAR, right?
Yeah.
And for many years they did that. And I was listening to Dr. Lester Tanner, as they can call him, Tanning, but and he's the fat guy there over finance now, right? And they were asking him on another show, so how long has this been going on? He said, oh, it's been going on for a long time, since early time. But how long has it been going? So he tried to skip that. It went on during the broadcast time as well. They were collecting money, but not remitting it. So they have to push him before he admitted, oh yeah, they've been taking the people's salary and taking the pension money of it, but not remitting it to Central Bank, National Bank, to NASCAR, all the way up to 2005. Can you imagine? So how can you come to create change and still cannot follow through? But let's listen to her on this salary issue. I think there was some improvement made, but then they still have issues with the pension side of it.
In, I think it was 2022 or 2023, they lobbied government for a 100% increase in their salary. And many of them, in fact, most of them at that time, if not all, received it. There may be a few people outlying today because there was a provision within the agreement that if they hadn't been there 5 years yet, they had to wait a little longer before they got it. So I think that's really the area of discussion. But, you know, faculty deserve to be well paid for their work. They do. I mean, faculty is considered one of the hallmark professions of the world, you know, and so they deserve good pay, and I'll never rue them that. But I'm also very concerned about staff, you know, because where the faculty have made gains, the staff have not made as many gains. And we still have many staff who are suffering through the lowest, you know, salaries in our institution, and I worry about them. I really do, you know, and so I like to see us have a comprehensive and holistic look at our salaries and our job titles and our job roles and our workforce, so that again we can become. And I think it was 2022 or.
So she said here that the faculty had 100% increment in the salary between 2022 and 2023, right? But the staff, which is the other support staff, not the faculty, not the teaching staff, have not been able to get a decent salary. What do you make of that at this time? When people making if some government official generator alone, the scratch guy alone, the incidentals alone, the what they call the refreshment in the office alone, it's more than
entertainment. That's how they put it.
It's more than talk to me.
Yeah. So look at what happened here. The doctor came into an environment that is completely just like scattered all over the place. And it's actually done. And if you look at it, you think it's disarray, but it's not. That is how corruption actually worked. Corruption worked in an area that looked like there was disarray. Because in that particular environment, few guys suck up everything. Let me just say this. Why is it, you know, Thomas, if Thomas is listening, he made this point once. And he suggested it. Why I said that in Liberia, money is collected in so many small accounts. Because this is not just because this is a university, but you see, this is something that's going on across the entire governing structure, right? LRA will collect the money, they hold it here. LFA will collect that. Why is it that this money, that the thing is not settled to what the money make a direct transfer into government coffers or into the exact area that they're supposed to go into? Why does it have to have a purgatory, the people that are Catholic? Why does it have to stop close to heaven, then delay them before entering heaven? Why? Because if the money is collected from these people at the university, why does it have to go into a holding account and then from there before go to NASCAR? Why can't the account for the people be directly at NASCAR and the money go directly there? And why does it have to take this long for NASCAR to not even say anything? Because you know that this account is there, right? The money is supposed to come.
That's another major point. So why did NASCAR did not raise the? It said that it is not their responsibility to raise that kind of concern.
Why not? This account is with you because that is how the government is supposed to operate seamlessly. This institution is running and it's operating, and people are getting paid. And the money that's supposed to be remitted to that NASCOP account for this institution, if it is not coming there, NASCOP is supposed to raise an alarm. They can't tell me that it is not their business. And you're not talking about this. It's not like to say, oh, it was within a 6-month period before they did some kind of maybe audit or before they. No, you're talking about from 2005. Let's just say. You're talking about almost 30 years or over 30 years. And they're going to say it's not their business. So how they think they're supposed to be able to fund these people retirement?
Right.
But these are the problems, Dr. Pearson. And look, the country is just broken. And if you go check in NASCO, there is somebody in there that is getting some cut.
Right.
The same thing that happened to AFL with Brandon Samaka. You set up stuff, you're going to collect the monies from the people. How can the one army guy, how is Defense Department alone having access to the budget? And they hold on to the money and the money disappear. So it's the same thing. So look, Thomas said it here. They need to streamline things so that the major accounts that are set up in government cover where this money is supposed to go, they're supposed to make a straight transfer into those accounts. You see? So when they look, let me tell you something. I just want to give this right. My little daughter, I'm trying to teach her some stuff about finances. So I went ahead, opening an account for her under me. And then I set it up. And then I said, no, I'm going to try to separate yours from mine. I'm going to be able to monitor yours. So she said, but you're not going to be able to get a card too like the way you gave me. So I said, no, I'm not going to do that. Because I want to know who is spending the money. I don't want for you to say, oh, I have a card too, so maybe it could be me. You see that? So I said, I'm going to separate that so that whenever we see the money come out of that place, we know that you're the only person that have the ability to spend money from there and will hold you responsible. And she was laughing, but it's the same thing. If you do that and the money go directly into where it's supposed to go, now if anything you look, but the money tie up between small places, and then nothing come out of it.
So I understand that when you prepare the payroll and the deductions are included in the calculus in the arithmetics, right? Mm-hmm. Wouldn't the president, wouldn't the faculty senate, wouldn't the high ups in the university be aware that you're deducting money from the people that we're signing off on the payroll, but these monies are not being remitted? Don't they get statements from NASCAR? Because like you see, there's so many things, so many questions here. Because if I'm remitting money into Social Security for my employees, wouldn't I want to follow up to get like statements to see what their accounts like? I would say that the administration of the University of Liberia, I mean, they're like, I don't care about that aspect. I just only care about going to the classroom and the students get taught. Because my parent says, she said she's aware of the faculty getting raised, and she's also aware that the regular staff as well are not getting anything, and she's worried about them. So the same way she's able to see the information and be worried about them, wouldn't any other president before her would have seen and noticed that this money is not going to that the signing off on is not going into the account? So my question is that shouldn't those who sign off on this money be held accountable for them?
Actually, by right, because okay, let's just say they're supposed to be held accountable. But this is the issue here. They say they've been collecting this money. So are they saying the money just disappear? Because if they've been collecting and they never turn it over to Social Security, let's just address this one right here. Then the money should be sitting there. So where is the money? Okay, let's just say they didn't get it to Social Security, to NASCO, because they forgot. It slipped their mind. But the money should be sitting there. So where is the money? Because we don't want this thing about that, oh, yeah, we collected it. But, okay, where is it? You collected it, where is it? So, like you say, in a serious system, some people are supposed to get arrested. Some people are supposed to be charged. Especially the money cannot be made available. If to say the money was collected and was put into an account, and it's actually been in that account since 2005, and they say, oh, okay, maybe there was a glitch. We did not know that, but look, here it is $20 million. Look, we're going to turn it over to NASCO. Then we say, okay, don't make that kind of mistake anymore. Let's correct it. But they can't just say that they've been collecting it and then where is it?
So let me play devil's advocate. So what if maybe we took on this logic now because we're pushing it. Somebody listen to it and say, okay, it makes sense. If you are president you're a CEO of a company and you sign payroll that has the deductible of your employees on them, they mean to say you are aware that the fundings were available for that. You have budget line for those fundings. So if you sign off on a payroll and the money was expended, and then this portion did not get to the bank or to the appropriate place it's supposed to be sitting, it is not there. Maybe the next question is, did you use it for something else? Maybe you had some challenges and then you diverted that money to solve some problems. So can you show us documentation of problems you solved by using that money?
Yeah, that you asked a very good question, and that is what I was just going to bring. All right, because if the money is not there, then it was used somewhere else, and that is the point I was just about to come to. Then they need to show us where it was used, and who signed up on money that was collected for people retirement to be used for some other expenses. What I don't know though, you guys went to the university, so I don't know very well how the institution itself function. Whether the president of the university have that much, how much is their reach to into areas like turning over pension to the right institution, the right departments outside of the university. I don't know whether her control reached that far. I don't know, but I want to think so, right? And you ask the question, so she's supposed to be able to raise the issue. Because from what she's saying here, she's not even saying it as if it is something that is so alarming. She just said, yes, it was, they got it, but it was not turned over. So then maybe it was probably because if they have all these challenges that they're talking about, they use it. Look, just to rest on this issue, you know, one of the greatest problems that I don't know if you're familiar with this or anybody that's listening, that most of the businesses, especially the small businesses face in the US, you collect income tax, right, from people for their W-2. And you're supposed to turn it over to the states and to the federal government because you collect it on behalf of the government, right? But you have tough operational need. So you take that money. You already reported to the government when you did a quarterly that this is how much you collected from the workers for their tax, the W-2, their how you call it, Social Security and all this stuff. Then you take it and you put it back into operation so that you can stay in business because you don't have money. And then that money continue to grow. So now you owe, and the government don't joke about this because it's not like the tax that the company is supposed to pay. No, it is the money that you are collecting from people so that they can file for when the year end, the businesses actually absorb that money and they use it. I've been present in businesses that did that. And the owner had all kinds of lien on his house, on his properties, until he could pay that money. So it's similar stuff, right? So they collect the money, they probably didn't turn it over. My thing here, I don't even think they really use it for anything. If it's from 2005, some people are just eating the money. Yeah. Yeah, you're muted.
He said some people are just eating it.
Yeah, they were just eating the money. Because where is it?
So the guys are saying that they're not going to go back to the classroom at all until that money can be remitted.
Yeah, they're right.
I'm hearing that the government has pledged to make that money payable to NASCA, and the guys are saying until that money is in NASCA, they are not going to go into the classroom at all. And their spokesperson, the president, was on another platform last night making that statement as well. But let's listen to this one next, if you don't mind. If you follow us, this is the Focus on Liberia. We're discussing University of Liberia, its challenges and the standoff between administration and the faculty and the staff associations. All right, let's make progress. Let's listen to her again and let's see what we can take this one from, this other one from.
be open. I'm going to talk with our administrative staff who run different aspects of making school able to open and say, let's get everything online. So we're going to have to rush because we've lost a week or two compared to when we had planned to start with registration. But that doesn't mean we can't get things up and running. So it's going to start there. We're going to.
But the point is, even though she's hopeful that they're going to get started, like I said, the guys are saying they're not going to the classroom. So my question here for us to have a little discussion about, maybe they're listening. Should they go to the classroom and be negotiating at the same time? Or is it that where they've reached to now, this is where now this is where the rubber meets the road. Like, you got to get it done or we're not going to the classroom at all. What do you think? Should they, are they neglecting the students? Is the faculty and the staff causing harm to the students, or do we blame the administration at this time? Where do we lay the blame? Or if not the blame, or what can we say to them?
This is what I would say, though, Dr. Pearson. They should not go back to the classroom. And this is why. The government in Liberia, not just this one, they are not credible. They don't follow what they agree that they will do. So we should not try to guilt these people who have their own life to live, who put in the labor that is being stolen from them, that somehow they're failing the students, that they should be patriotic, because we hear all this kind of stuff about the people that have been handling all this money are not patriotic, but they want the ordinary people to be patriotic. Just like when there was all of this corruption stuff circling around George Weah, he could not show that him and his guys, they were honest. But then one Peking that found $50,000 on a motorbike in Ganta somewhere, that is a Peking he wanted to bring immediately. Like, this is the model that you should watch, but he could not even be the model that he wanted Peking to represent. It's the kind of nonsense. So no, let these guys stay out until, look, let me tell you something, Dr. Pearson. That country have a lot of money. That government have a lot of money. You see all this stuff right here. Have you heard our senator did not get paid? Have you heard our senator went 1 month without getting paid? Have you heard our senator went 1 month without getting their benefits, their strike cards? Have you heard any minister or agency here went 1 month without getting their pay or their benefits? There's a lot of money in that country. These are guys that are taking all kinds of tricks. I think somebody will mention it here. I don't know how true that was, but that they were pushing for $10,000 a piece for some kind of break or recess. Do you know how much that is? They went and just spent 1 week in Buchanan to celebrate Independence Day. So there is money. So the government should make the money available. But look, that is not really even the point here. That money need to be available, but this is where I'm troubled though. You see, we always have this problem in Liberia. Anytime there is corruption or the claim of corruption, you never hear the government saying we are going to get in, we're going to investigate, bring people to justice. So they're just going to make the money available. So what happened to the money? It is not. So you keep taking taxpayers' money and covering up corruption. When Bernie Samaka is supposed to go to jail, upon say, oh, we are all one, the government is going to make it available. The AFL people did not demonstrate the Upon ever make it available. No, it never happened. It never happened. Up to today, the AFL people did not get their money. So the faculty, if you listen to me, just stay out of the classroom. This government in Liberia don't tell the truth. They don't do the right thing. They want to just promise you, you go back while you're negotiating with them, they're not going to pay that money. Let them pay. Let the university shut down until they make that money available.
Then the question that would be to us, like if we were arguing with somebody who would think differently and say, listen, education is vital to the very fabric of our society. If the crooked politicians are not funding education properly and they're stealing from the faculty, keeping the institution shut down only further hurt the students, the very kids. It's going to delay them from graduating. They're going to miss, like she said, they're already 2 weeks behind. And they even missed the vacation school, and then they're 2 weeks behind now. So it hurts the students, the young people more than it's going to hurt the administration and the faculty and the staff. So how do we balance out the harm done to the young people and meeting our demands at the same time, Dr. Tao?
Yeah, but Dr. Pearson, you see, you're talking about the harm as if the professor and the lecturers are not responsible for that. They are not the one causing the harm. Imagine you going to work and you are not getting paid and your benefits are siphoned off by the company owners, but they tell you that it's going to hurt your customers, the clients that you are used to dealing with, that it really depend, they really like you, so come back to work while you are losing your homes and you can't send your children to school, you can't put food on the table for your children. That is what we are dealing with here. So your company or your employer is going to be responsible for that. They need to address their clients. So this needs to happen so it can create enough pressure. What the students need to do is they need to jump on the side of the faculty so that they can pressure the government to make this money available so the faculty can return to class. Look, we're not going to have this all the time, that these guys will sit there, they commit corruption. Then they will tell the people that they're committing the corruption against, that are the actual productive people in the society, like the professors and the nurses and the doctors, that somehow they should just be patriotic and they should just go back to work. We should not accept that. There must be some kind of disruption. And if them going slow to where there is a disruption, let that pressure be mounted. Let the student body join them, join the professors and the faculty, so that they can push for this government to do the right thing. Whether it was under them or not, they came in, they knew Liberia had problem, they inherited it. Look, they have money. Let them cut the strike cut. They just cut strike cut alone, they can pay this money and even have more left over.
All right. If they can just cut the scratch car and the gas slip alone, they will have enough money to pay this. So I want to say to the young people that, look, I was there at the LU there. Like I said, I was there. I know what it feels like. I one time joined my beginning, went to demonstrate to the Foreign Affairs Ministry when Ellen was there. Because I wanted to carry tuition up for the undergraduate. At that time I was in the graduate program. And I say, in solidarity, you can't leave a movement behind. Say in solidarity, we join a group, went there, called the Northern Minority. And started running up the fence. Oh. But the real meditation, that's some jumping over the fence, going by, leaving from the road and leaving from Ministry of Foreign Affairs, jumping over the fence, running by in the fence. Because anytime the children are straight in the fence, we can run.
Yeah. Okay.
And when you push up from in the film, going back that Jonathan side, going down the hill. But the point is that after a while, the president finally sent somebody down, so they called the leaders and they went there and they had a conversation. In the beginning, said they didn't want for the tuition to go up, right? But besides tuition going up, there's this thing about entrance that has been a long-standing a debate at that LU under the Palava Hall, and it looks like it's still going on because she mentioned something about that. I want you to pay attention and tell me what you think.
Assess, what the courses are that we need, whether we need to get some adjuncts, etc., and get it going. In terms of whether a couple callers addressed this for our entrance exam for the master's programs and graduate school programs. Do people need to take entrance a second time? I'm a believer that they do, and I'll tell you why. The skill sets that are needed for graduate and professional school are different than the skill sets that are needed for undergraduate school, just like the skill sets that are needed for undergrad are different than high school. And so you need the opportunity to assess students newly for that level of work. Students may have grades for a variety of reasons, and they may have had different teachers and so on. So you really want the opportunity to assess people anew. Again, that's a normal practice all over the world.
Do you agree, huh? Now let me set the foundation here. So I remember when I was in Liberia, I took entrance to go to enter school, right? Grade school, right? And then you go through grade school. For any reason, you have to move from one grade school to another. You took another entrance to enter, the entrance to enter. And if you graduate from high school, you take the WAEC. Back then, they used to be called WAEC. Now they call it the WAEC and WAS. They were using the West African model as well. And then you take the at the end of your graduation year in 12th grade. You do that in sixth grade. You do that in 9th grade. You do that in 12th grade. at some point the 6th and the 9th grade became optional. But then at some point again, they keeping it there to let what at least to practice before getting the 12th grade, right? And then graduate. So we have problem as people who coming from war and struggling can hardly afford already. You pay for all your years in school. You pay graduation fee to leave the high school. You pay for final exam. Also have a regular exam called the WAC or the WAS to get out of high school. Then when you want to go into university asks you to pay new money again to take different exam. And then even if you graduate from your first degree, your BA, your BSc, and you want to go to the graduate program, and you want to go to the graduate program, they also ask you to take another entrance again to enter into the graduate program. I had to do it on every single step. To be honest with you, I was one of those who complain. I was like, listen, if I graduate from high school, besides my exam I take out of high school, my final exam from high school, and then I had to be tested with a national test called WAC test, then I should just go into the university. I should walk into the university. I shouldn't have to go through and sit another exam to enter the university. And if I graduated from UL with my bachelor's degree, I should just go straight into the graduate school. I shouldn't have to sit another entrance to go into the graduate school. She is saying she feels, even though we have these conversations going back and forth for ages, like she said from the beginning, long-standing issues, for ages, she's saying in her view is okay because people can get a grades for a lot of reasons. Are you kidding me? You kidding me? When people get a grade for a lot of reasons, look, that's not my fault. Even if I bought the grade, that's not my fault. That's the institution's fault. That's institutional failure. That's not my failure. And then she says, further, she said, the different kind of teachers and faculty and different kind of instruction, blah, blah, blah. Seriously? That's why you got curriculum. Yeah. Curriculum is intended to make sure that we all graduate at the same level of understanding. I know it is impossible that we all graduate with the same level of intake of the knowledge, but it is assumed that we all went through the same curriculum that prepared for one stage to another. And then last, she said she has seen it happening all over the world. You have to take entrance to go into colleges. That, for me, that's not true. I came to this country to do my PhD. I never took entrance.
Yeah.
I just justify my credentials for my previous learning. What do you say, Tyler?
Yeah. So look at what happened here, Dr. Pearson. I have quite a few Nigerian friends, and I have strong presence in Nigeria. And I don't know about the other regions in West Africa, but when I told my friend the same question that you asked, that when we take WAEC, which was that WAEC, then we have to still take an entrance exam to get. So he said, no, the WAEC qualify you in Nigeria for you to go straight into the university, right? So like that. So like you're saying, you took some, you know that now they're doing in 6th grade. My niece, one of my nieces, she just took the 6th grade. Because I know way in the 60s and the 70s, my uncle said they used to do that. But when we came up, they moved it to 9th grade. But now they're doing the 6th grade, they're doing the 9th grade and 12th grade. And then you still go to the university, you still have to take an entrance exam. So what she mentioned there, there's some stuff to it, but like you said, it is not even having trust in the educational system at the lower level, because you don't even trust it that it is actually working the way it's supposed to work. So you see the whole systemic stuff. And then when other people also going to raise the question, even at the university level, the same way you're talking about how they got their grades, people are also saying how they got their grades also at the university. So these are some of the deep structural issues she's mentioning. But look, let me tell you the present form of educational structure that we have, when they talk about design in like the 16th and 1700s in Europe generally, and then perfected in the US, education in its present form as it's set up, go learn this or go get a job, it was meant to regulate the poor. Education in its present form is meant to regulate the poor. What that means? It means that if they need a certain amount of people to join certain companies to make the wealthy and the wealthy company benefit, the government fund that area more and they push people into that area Whenever they don't need that in that area and they're getting over, they contract that area by pulling funding and cutting stuff. So I'm just trying to say this from her point. That is that. So it is the model that we are following. Okay, in Liberia now, at LU, if everybody that got the WIAC certificate, if they want to walk in the LU, they don't have the space. So it is meant to regulate, to filter, to reduce, to restrict. That is all that actually is.
But let me just come in quickly. So in my mind, right? If we want a literate society, we should be happy, or we should be pleased that we have a lot of people matriculating towards a college degree, correct? So in my mind, like you said from the beginning of the show, rather than trying to restrict how many people can come into UL, because you said that around 30,000 kids enroll at UL at every semester, right? Around 30,000 kids, young people. So if that is the case, why don't we expand and improve the quality? Okay. Like we always saying here, like, why don't we make education accessible without putting any hurdle, like unnecessary fees and unnecessary testing like we're talking about now, so that the kids can get the education we need? But like you see, I would want to see, like we did on Tuesday, I would like to see us, like you said, let us direct the education system to where we have problems that we want to solve as a nation.
Yeah. So let me tell you this. You see the point that you made? That is how it's supposed to. That is how it seemed that it should be, right? But that's not how it works. Because an educated population is a threat to the power structure anywhere in the world. So in Liberia, Liberia is just following it. Because, okay, first, look at what Liberia will have to do here. Liberia will have to invest in more universities. They will have to expand the footprint of universities. Because if they're placing restriction, because like we had a discussion here that they're going to make K through 6 free, and they're going to go arrest parents if the parents don't send their kids to school. And the question was, if everybody just inside Monrovia, all the kids decided they want to go to school, where is the classroom that will hold them? It doesn't exist. So it's the same thing. Look at how small LU is, my brother. If all of the children over there that are passing WIAC, if they show up for them to actually get in, they don't have space for them. So the problem here is, and if they all went through and they graduated, remember, education is promising what? That if you go to school, your life becomes better. That's not completely true. Because all these kids will go to school now and they graduate. You told them this is what they needed to do, and this is where the frustration is coming from in Liberia. They now get this education now, and they have nowhere that they can plug in. The lives are not getting better. That particular population become to agitate. So let me tell you, when you hear about welfare or all these welfare that is here in the US today, that's how it started. Because as these people were going through the school system, were graduating, were getting all this stuff, and there was no job for them. So they were really on the streets in Europe agitating about to disrupt the system. So in order to calm them down, they created the social programs so that they can give them some money, they give them some food, they give them a place to stay so that they can quiet them down as they're trying to restructure stuff. So no, in Liberia, it would not work because they have not taken the time for them to invest in the institution to expand them. But look, let me come to a point before I close. You know, when I came to the US, I came in from our Liberia. I was very good in the sciences, but I came in from to do the same political science and economics. I really wanted to be in government. I'm just telling you. So I spent my time reading and studying. Then I took my first physics class and pre-calculus, and the professor twice I took like 2 or 3 tests. Then the professor is a Nigerian or nuclear engineer. He called me. He said, "Hey, where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Liberia." So he said, "What is your major?" I said, "Oh, I'm going to do political science and economics." He laughed. I said, "Bro, why are you laughing?" He said, "You're not going to make it in this country." He said that area is open only for the Americans that are citizens. He said, you already have, from what I see, you have the fundamentals. Go into science. He said, do you have money for you to pay all this money? I said, no. He said, you want scholarship and you want to? I said, yes. So that is how I went to the sciences. So to just say this, and guess what? I went all over the economic department, the political department, looking for scholarship. It didn't exist. The moment I switched to science, do you know that I was carried around this country? I started doing research at every area. They have money for it because the U.S. was investing, like we're saying, directing the population, right? Investing in the area that they knew there would be the challenge. So they started, I was paid to go to school. I was paid for me to go do research. I was paid, not just me, but generally just in the sciences. So like Jimmy said here last time, incentivize the area that you want to develop, right? So that is where it was, and I would think that is where this, instead of this doctor struggling with toilet and stuff, this is where she's supposed to be. But look at how low she had to go to be trying to find solar panel to see that. No, she's supposed to be in these areas along with Ministry of Education, like you said, in the different organizations, to say this is the vision, but they don't have it. It doesn't exist. So this lady will have to come into an environment and try to build it. And guess what? Every time you're trying to build this, somebody on the chopping is closing. You find fight. So when the faculty are even saying that she should go, I don't really know they're saying she should go because what, she's the one that took the Social Security money. Because me, I don't know the inside stuff. So if you go look, probably some of the same crooks that sit there are behind that. Because they're the one, they know each other with the professors and the faculty more than this lady. She's an outsider. Right? So stuff like that.
All right. Thank you, Tao. If you listen and viewing us, this is Focus on Liberia. We're discussing University of Liberia, the Luxing Tenebris, and we're talking about the challenges the university is facing. And we're just discussing these issues to understand the dynamics and point out some things we can do differently. All right. Now let me bring us to another point that I think I heard her mention. That look, and you made a point when Topical came up with the Green Revolution, right? Mm-hmm. One of the things that happened at University Agricultural College was that if you were enrolled in Agricultural College, you got a little stipend, right? And you were in Agricultural College, you were also on a farm because you got to do practical, right? So they were already making farms. Can we get to a place where engineering department can be involved in some practical engineering projects, right? We got community colleges across Liberia. To be very frank, we got community colleges, public universities, colleges across Liberia in all the 15 counties that was built during Madam Ellen time. Some of the places are covered in bushes, my brother. They want a guy in Bassa, the whole bridge cut.
Yeah.
The bridge over the water to get there, the whole bridge cut.
You know, Dr. Pearson, you raise a very good point, right? and this thing is a complete systemic issue in the educational sector. We don't practicalize anything. We don't do things to where, like, I went to school, I did all the physics, went to WIAC, did all this stuff, had the first place, all this stuff. I never seen a single pendulum. I never seen a single turning fork. I never seen a single scale that weigh into the stuff or a capillarity tube to be able to measure the temperature differences that lead to thermodynamics. I never seen any of these. But if you put it on the board, I will solve it in my head. But when I came here now, when I went to the lab, for me to, you know, that what you actually learn in the classroom, most of the time it's a completely different thing than what you are actually doing in the practical life. I was lost. So to say this, if look at most of the schools, high schools, they don't even have lab. So because that is where it's supposed to start from, and then they enter the university. And like you say, okay, if somebody's in civil engineering, they're building all these roads, whether small road or big road, whatever. Just let them liaison with those people and do internship or do some kind of hands-on. If somebody's in mechanical engineering, they're building these turbines and they were running all of the pipes for those places, and they were how they get the angle elevation and all of this stuff to make the water move in in this direction. These are things that they should be pressing out. But the educational system is not even structured that way. You see why you are asking? In order for these things to work like this, the people that are in charge will actually really have to work. And nobody want to work. Look, I was in Liberia, I stayed there for a year, Dr. Pearson. I went many places, to LU, to the port, to LPRC. Nobody really want to work because in Liberia, the system does not hold anybody responsible.
We just hit a very important point, and I want us to dwell there a little bit. Mm-hmm. So let us imagine we still have people when you leave Montserrat County, you start going to Buchanan, just along the highway, and you leave Buchanan going towards number 1, number 2, number 3. See, people still living in thatch houses, mud wall, mud floor, all that kind of stuff. You still, when you go into the village, still walking on between those small folk path, the corner on the side, walking in the middle. Mm-hmm. I'm sitting here thinking, what if we put our kids in NMT program, right? NMT program, the technical vocational training program, anyway, whether MVTC or whatever else, right? What if they came out of there practically undertaking government projects? So say low housing projects, for instance. Mm-hmm. As they get the skill, part of the training is to go and build an estate in one of the villages or one of those towns. And as they get the skill, they go build something else. Use them to practicalize what they're learning and earn in the process.
Yep. That is a very good point. And
those property bill, government will give it to national housing as a project, and it will get revolving fund that will fund scholarship for them and even pay them going forward.
Yeah. Okay. You see what you are saying here? It requires a government that have vision, a government that actually intend on working for its people. Okay, so you want the government to start building houses so that all the senators and representatives are also into real estate so they can have competition. So you see how they're thinking? This is exactly how they think. This is exactly how they think in Liberia, the guys in government. So they want to, look, I went to Liberia my first time going back. And that time on the Ellen, they were doing a lot of road constructions. And I drove to Buchanan, and I drove to Kakata, and I drove many places. And then I asked my cousin, I said, but you told me that it's the Chinese people that are doing the projects. But all the time we drove everywhere, I see Liberians, young Liberians. Let me tell you something, Dr. Pearson, our young men and women are very intelligent and very smart. If they're trained and given the opportunity, I work with some of them. Okay? It don't take that much, like the point that you're just making here. Imagine that. Imagine, let's just say, even beside the students, look at the army. Why aren't they building an Army Corps of Engineers inside the army? Where they actually go through training. And the army is just sitting there like, we're not going to no war. You're already paying them. Imagine using that force and then encouraging more young men. You do know how the U.S. recruit the military? You don't just go in as just some local all the time. Or you can go in and choose different fields. I work with many Army Corps of Engineer guys. Okay? You go in different fields. One of my cousins went in to be a dentist. So imagine that, using it in that way. And the army, guess what? You pull a lot of young men that are on the street because you put them there not only for them to learn how to use guns, but then they will actually go to work. There they become professional people and they can come out in the society. Those are areas and avenues that the government can use, but the government just don't care. Look, my youngest daughter, she in a school, they're doing robotics engineering. And just imagine when she was in 5th grade, the kids were already coding. They were already coding and designing and writing codes and instructing different little robotic dogs and cats and stuff to move and perform certain tasks. So imagine when they get up to the university level, they will already know how to do these things. Look, we are very smart, but we don't have the practical aspect and the investment in it. They're not willing to do it. They are not willing to do it. You raise the point. Look, how you call him? Leon. Leon raised a point here when we discussed a couple of this. That was Sunday.
Yeah, Leo.
Let me tell you something, Leo. You see the university? We need to convert that into technical college. It don't mean you close the art and all of this stuff, but you need to convert it. Look, we already have a lot of other areas, other universities that are doing that. Centralize the stuff, convert it to a technical college with engineering, computer, programming, all of the different stuff. The areas that are critical now, that all the critical minerals in the AI generation is kind of centering around. That is the next industrial revolution or tech revolution. We need to focus that and start training people. Start training. We don't have the time. Look, we don't have the time in Liberia for us to wait to be fixing toilet and plumbing at this time when systems are changing and all the African countries are putting themselves in a position so that they can be able to develop themselves to an extent before a different group of people entrench themselves and try to dictate policies and power across the world, where they will be in a position for them to at least be able to compete. This is where Liberia is supposed to be trying to move.
And yeah, we're still talking about toilets.
Yeah, about toilet and bathroom and all of this stuff.
And one more thing that we're talking about, I want to bring it to your attention. There's this guy, Dr. Tanner, Lester Tanner, that is creating a lot of not creating, but he's a politician recruited into the UL by the encouragement of Dr. Mapaya. And she likes him and she likes what he's doing, but he's one of those who because he's so close to politics, a lot of the guys don't like him. But let's hear what she said about him, and then we'll do a quick conversation. It goes back to the money business also.
And so I think people's biggest concern with it is more about the fee. I don't know, maybe it's about the test, but more people who have talked to me about it are concerned about the fee. They want the cost savings, but that's a different question than whether insurance should be required. In terms of the question about Dr. Tenney, I know that that's been one of the most contentious issues, but I will say this, that when I made him the acting vice president for finance and fiscal affairs last year in June, he came.
So I want to catch that part. So Dr. Tenney is based in US, right? Goes down to Liberia back and forth. So she said, and I made him. Do you think that was the beginning of his problem? Rather than a merit-based recruitment?
Yeah. And look, you remember one of the guys that championed here that Liberia cannot sustain the path that is on. You cannot be recruiting people from abroad when you say you don't have money to run this institution. They demand all these big salaries, like the president herself. 20 grand is too much. That's then if you add benefits, that's like around $300,000 a year. Why? Because she's from the US. Guess what? A guy that is trained domestically and equipped can also do this job with some supporting stuff for about $50,000-$60,000. I look at the president of Legon, which is a higher university in Ghana, private, is around $45,000 to $50,000. I look at University of Makerere in Uganda, is around $80,000 a year. I look at Dar es Salaam, but I'm just talking about in the same, and if you look in the same region, even Africa, they're very expensive. It's like around $35,000, $40,000. So why do we have, then we'll cry for money. But this aspect of it, we have to work on this. I know Ellen introducing the excuse was that the country just went through this. They didn't have people. And so, Dr. Pearson, that's supposed to happen in the first 6 years. Ellen is supposed to have invested in human development. Don't send the people to the US. Send them to places where they can stay, train them, bring them back, put them in these positions, train more people. Because the job that I would be with, that I would say I want to take for 250,000, somebody probably with comparable qualification and ability and understand the environment and live there just like me would be willing to take 35,000 for it because they live there. These things will reduce the wage bill. But we keep doing it. Why are you hiring somebody that you brought them in from and they live here in the US and they go and they come, they commute? We are walking down the wrong road.
Yeah, and they get a mortgage to pay and stuff like that.
Yes.
Let's go further. Let's go further with this.
And it solved a lot of problems right away. For example, one of the things that I was most committed to since the day of my arrival was the regularity of pay for UL's faculty and staff. It wasn't just the faculty who were full-time, but also the adjuncts and overload faculty. You know, people were saying, oh, we're supposed to get paid twice, once in the middle, once at the end, but sometimes we don't see it at the end and we got to come back and beg for it later. I said, that's ridiculous. And so he was able to execute on making pay regular for our full-time faculty and for our adjunct and overload faculty. That's a big win, and I'm surprised more people don't express their gratitude about that.
Will you express gratitude for somebody making sure people get a pay on time?
No. But you see why she's saying that? Remember, you always say something here, Dr. Pearson, that the bar is so low, right? The bar is so low. Because, and you know, I have to look at the doctor also from our own perspective. Imagine the people that are already in the system that are very corrupt, and she's trying to deal with them. She can't even get anywhere with them. So she is trying to look at somebody that she shares similar ideals and understanding with to move certain things. So like the point that she just made. You will find out that if you are dealing with somebody that is locally inside that been in our university, that is caught up into the same corruption, she'll be pushing this stuff and nothing will come out of it because that money is not coming because there's people that are siphoning it off. And they're all in our clique, but she brings somebody from over here. And just that thing that somebody did their job that is supposed to get paid for, and that is an accomplishment. Look at that. That is how bad things are in Liberia. Seriously.
You know, let me come in. I wouldn't, you know, to be frank, listen, someone is hired to do a piece of job. They did the job, the month end, they get the pay, whether 2 weeks, 1 week, or at the end of the month. For me, that is not even part of your job function.
No.
In the finance department, that is not even the person getting paid on time. It's not even part of your job function. That's not what I'm thinking about as your job function. Some of the things are even set up electronically and automated, right?
Yep.
The system send out people pay because you punched in your time card.
Mm-hmm. But that is what we are dealing with. So what is one of these major accomplishments that he's making people to get paid now on time? People that already work that were getting paid, that they get paid once or twice a month. How much how much does he make for doing that? So these are the things. If the president herself is making that much, I want to believe he's making a whole lot. But look, I will say this though. I look at it comparatively across West Africa, and Liberian professors are actually making more than professors in Ghana. I mean, like apple to apple. So the only people that, like she mentioned in there, is that those ordinary workers, probably someone is still on $30 and $20 a month. Okay.
That includes office staff.
Yeah, office staff and janitors and stuff like that, and landscapers. So the people probably getting paid $20, $30 a month still, and they need to come up. But there is a huge gap between her and the professors. They are making between $1,200 to $2,500 depending on the area that you are teaching, and this lady is making in like 20 grand. And when I look at Ghana and other places, the gap is like around a couple of thousand compared to it's like 6 times what they're making.
Let's end this clip.
But also I mentioned before the problem of the study leave arrears. We had all this accumulated debt because people just had not been paying the study leave people. He came in and he cleaned it up. You know, all those people got big checks last year's fall because we took time out of the money to actually pay the people, you know, and, you know, I could go on. I don't want to spend the entire time on that, but you see, he's working for what we need at UL. And so when we had the opportunity to, you know, we did a search and we had opportunity to have him apply. What the position is now called Chief Information Officer and Vice President of Finance. He applied. He came out the strongest candidate. So, you know, I understand that many people may have concerns about him for political reasons, but let's separate that from the reasons of him doing his job, which he does.
Should we depoliticize LU? Do you think LU should even be having the president appointing the president of UL?
Yeah, I don't. It is very difficult for you to depoliticize. When you mean depoliticize, like the president cannot be on a campaign trail with the president with a political party. Yes, but like you say, as long as there is appointment, it will all be political.
So should we get rid of it? Should we maybe the university have a board of trustees that do the recruitment for president, and we shouldn't interrupt the president of UL because another someone won election the next year, so the other president move and then another president comes in.
Yeah, another person comes there. They want to remove that person so that they can put their own people there, because remember, you're looking for a job for your party members. So that's been very disruptive. But look at when we're talking about Liberia, my brother, look, it's a very difficult place to talk about. If you leave this thing up to the board members, most of the time, they themselves, they are caught up into all kinds of corruption. That is the problem with Liberia. Nobody really wants to do what's supposed to be done to really help the country.
But don't forget now, for those who have had the experience outside here, even the board get changed periodically by the vote of the community, correct?
You mean in Liberia?
No, in the US here. In the US here. We vote for our board members.
Oh, yeah. We vote for the board members and stuff like that. Yes, that something like that can be put in place. But you know, even the idea of voting is still political, because you find the president or the party in power moving state resources behind the people that they support, and the next thing you know, if it is UP that is in power, all UP people then make up the board because they have funding that they are giving them. Or how is the UL board put together? Is it like through selection, through appointment? How is it put together? Because I don't know.
I think it's through appointment from the president's office. Just like Timo, he appoints the president of the UL.
Yeah, that's too much power to be given to this president to be doing all this appointment. All the presidents in Liberia have been able to do very well to appoint, but never been able to run the country adequately. And that, look, if it is an area where a president or a party have real national driven agenda, that is actually a good thing, because you can put people in those places based on the national agenda, give them tasks, and then they accomplish it. But in an environment like Liberia where everything is about placing your family members and your friends or your political or ally in power, then all these appointments don't lead to anything. It's just people not even competent. You just put them there. And that is a problem that we are having. So Dr. Pearson, you are here. They take you now, they make you a president. You are dealing with all these board members that know nothing, but they have all kinds of power over you. You get frustrated because everything they see it from a position of trying to exercise some kind of empty power based on some kind of ego. And we are dealing with that consistently. It is good for these places to be autonomous, to where they can run. The way Liberia need to get is that we set up this institution with capable people where they can run beyond any government, so that we have consistency.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, because I'm thinking, because if you have a board that is depoliticized, a university leadership that is depoliticized, then it's not about pleasing the president. It becomes about getting the job done based on the indicators that you have, your deliverables that you are accounted for to deliver on, right? Because if you have deliverables like Mr. President, Madam President, between the next 5 years, this is the plan of the university. These are the deliverables, right? And then the president enjoys the confidence of the university trustees based on the deliverables, the outcome of the deliverables. But if we have a situation where this person come and eat NASCO money, and nobody did anything to him because he was the friend of the president who put him there, right? And the friend of the president, the president also put the finance minister that was supposed to check on him to make sure that he executing the budget properly. But the finance minister cannot talk because the finance minister is working at the will and pleasure of the president. True. And you are both, the U.S. president is working at the will and pleasure of the president. So you squeeze the other person is squeezed.
That's true. But I want to ask a question because I don't know. Why is it that the same people that are in government already are serving on 3-4 different boards? Is that not against some kind of law in Liberia?
All right, so let me give you what I understood when I was there working myself. So there are some boards that are sector related. So let me give you an example. So say they were setting up a board for maybe an LPRC or something. There are certain other ministries and agencies that has some ties to what that area is doing. So whatever board over that place gets a pull from these various ministries or agencies that has an impact on their work. You understand what I'm saying? They got board like that. All right. I don't think the trustee board of the university is like that though. I think the trustee board of the university is more of a professional technocrats and that get appointed up, big shots, so to speak. Especially retired professors, retired government officials and stuff like that. Well, before I take leave, before we take leave of our audience today, you are listening to Focus on Liberia. Before we go, let us listen to this, and then I want to hear whether if you were her, you'll be saying the same thing, right? Let's listen to her.
Is an alumnus of UL. I had a Fulbright here before. I had done my USAID project here. I had engagements with faculty here, so I knew the institution relatively. And so I knew what I was getting into, and I welcomed the opportunity to work here, and I still do. There's no challenge too great in my mind. And
so that's part she's doing toilets when she's supposed to be doing policy, all right, and improving the learning environment of the kids to advance out there, improving curriculum and other things, bringing in new innovative approach to learning and stuff like that. She's doing toilets, but she said she's able to take on this thing. She in it for the long haul. I mean, she said her husband is luminous. She been there. She did some of her projects, studies projects and things at the UL. US students and faculty help her with some research before, and she married a Liberian as well. So she been back and forth. She understands what she's dealing with. She accepted the challenge, and she's gonna stay in there and fight it to the end. What you say?
Yeah. So look at what happened here. When it comes to her doing the toilet and the solar panel and all the stuff, I really can't blame her. Because there is no way that she will be able to run the university if the facilities don't work to accommodate the students for them to be able to sit in class. So I laid this one squarely on the failure of the government, because like she said, if you go to the root cause of why there is no power, it's the same root cause why there is no power. Why there's no power in the country is something that no sanitation water in the country. So she's doing her best on that front. But me and you will agree that that is not even where she's supposed to be. She's supposed to be putting together policies and looking at different areas and talking to mining companies and all of this stuff and trying to see between lens and minds and evaluating the global stage to see what trend are things moving, what are going to be like challenges in terms of the type of people that need to produce. in the next 10 years, in the next 5 years, in the next 20 years. And that is how we're supposed to be positioning our curriculum. What I don't know here is that who set the curriculum in Liberia? And that's a question I wanted to ask. At the UL, is it the trustee? Is it the board? Is it squarely on the president, or is it Ministry of Education? Or is Ministry of Education only limited to grade school? How does it really work? You're muted.
Yeah, so across Liberia, whether it is UL or any other private university, we've depended heavily on consultancy, right? Majority of our curriculums were done with consultancy assistance, in as much as all of our major strategic plans, even national plans, are done with major heavy reliance on consultancy, external consultancy, outsourced. However, in the University of Liberia, from my experience being there, they rely also on the support of the faculty senate. All right, the guys who teach within the university, whether adjunct professor or true professor or whatever, those guys play a major role in the different departments in reviewing curriculum, strengthening curriculum, updating curriculum. But no matter what you do curriculum-wise, Ministry of Education has to be in the know, and the Commission for Higher Education, National Commission for Higher Education, also supposed to be in the know and to approve it.
Okay.
So that's how it works.
Okay.
But again, talking about the way forward, I want us to discuss two parts of the way forward. Our last 10 minutes, you can get like 2 minutes on each, no problem. I mean, administratively, what can we do differently? And then academically, what can we do differently?
Okay. So on the administrative front, the people that are in administration, like the president and all of these people, they're supposed to focus. They're supposed to actually try to focus on how to run this institution in a way into the 21st century. They should not get distracted. They should not be put in the position where they are running around trying to be maintenance people, trying to be construction worker, trying to figure out that this place don't have roof, and that shouldn't even be something that they should be tied down into. And I don't know whether she spoke to the president or she spoke to the people that really supposed to be be responsible for this, but that is not where they need to be. So administratively, they need to focus strictly on trying to run the institution to meet the challenges in terms of for the 21st century. Digitizing a lot of things. Like we said here earlier, trying to look and see that why are people doing triple and quadruple entrances, especially within the same university. Let's just say the excuse is that they came from high school and we don't know where they got their degree, which should not really be their fault, as you said, especially the person at WIAC. But why am I going from undergraduate to master's in the same then I have to still take entrance? So they need to kind of try to simplify a lot of the stuff administratively to remove a lot of hurdles that are not necessary at all.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you. So that's what I would say. Administratively, I think we need to rethink the whole appointment process of the governance of the school, right? Look, how do we get those who run the school to be depoliticized? Because I don't think education fits well if there are political strings attached.
True.
Yeah, because I think the politician will say, you know, if this is working well for UL today, let's just giving just an example. It doesn't mean it's happening now, but because this was an initiation of maybe Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, right? If I put into it and make it even more successful, they will say, "Oh, this Ellen Johnson Sirleaf project," and then she gets the credit, or it is George's project, so he gets the credit. So I want to kill it and try to find something else. why reinvent the wheels when something is already working, right? I think we need to depoliticize. I think we need to depoliticize the president, even appointing the president, so that we don't have president change every now and then, because a president who's coming in now will say, oh, this person was appointed by another person. They would try to undermine me so that the university doesn't run well. Then they will say it's failing under my administration. Get away from those kind of petty thinking, this kind of myopic way of thinking, and think big. Let the university be independent enough to decide its innovative trajectory, where it's going, where it's headed. Let it be able to expand on what it's doing best, right? Let it be innovative enough to be research-based. And I would say this, going to the academic side, look, there's no way the guy's going to be in the classroom teaching if he doesn't get his pay, his pension, everything properly paid, his benefits and things, insurance and other kind of things. So clear that out of the way, because it is the bridge between strong administration and strong faculty and staff. Because if the administration is not going to get that pipeline running, where the people salary and benefits and other trinkets in between that makes them feel happy to do the job, you're gonna stagnate them, right? You're gonna stop for their motivation, and when you stop for the motivation, we see what's happening now. We'll put the truck down, the way we walk out of the classes, it's gonna hurt the kids. Another thing I want to say when it comes to the academic, between the academic and the administration and academic, in between that pipeline, is the issue about the infrastructure. We cannot be talking about toilet now. God have mercy. We actually should be talking about a fully digitized classroom now. That should be the argument. Or the projectors, or the flat screen for instruction, or the online library, or the internet service. And those are things we should be discussing, that we need to strengthen it, we need to improve on it. We should be discussing the different instruments in the science lab, in the engineering department, those things that are modern but not yet in Liberia. Those are the things we should be discussing about, right? Not toilet and bathroom and solar panel. Those things are archaic. It's the talking 50 years back.
Mm-hmm.
In the present. I don't think that's the conversation. So you fix that infrastructure, give us, and I'm not just talking about you, I'm talking about across the country. All of the public colleges and universities must be brought to the present day modern status. Because take it or leave it. Every time we leave Liberia, we come outside Liberia to get to do something else. We need to fit in the bigger world. We need to leave Liberia. Our students and our university graduates, they need to leave from Liberia, and when they go abroad into the diaspora, they need to come equipped to be able to fit in the developed world. You cannot come from Liberia and you get into like India, other places, and you feel like you're in a space environment, like I'm just getting on the moon kind of a situation. It cannot be like that. Somebody should leave from the science college and matriculate over to China or to Japan or to Taiwan and find comparable instruments, tools, equipment, and say, oh, I saw this before, I worked with this before, I dealt with this before. Now I see it is not strange to me. That's the kind of thing we should be talking about, not toilet. And this is what I will say again, my brother Tower. Thank you for tonight. Academically, we should sit down and say, okay, we want to feed ourselves. Agriculture college is no longer sitting now in the classroom business. Agriculture college now is moved to Lofa County. Agriculture college now is moved to Maryland County. Agriculture college now is moved to Nima Community College. That's why you're going to do agriculture. Because when you're there, you gotta be producing rice.
Yeah.
Or you gotta be producing cocoa. Or you gotta be producing coffee. By the time you graduate from there, your graduation success should be, the success story should be that Liberia is self-sufficient in rice production because of agriculture college. Liberia is self-sufficient in the production of cocoa and for export and other kind because of the agriculture college. We should make it outcome driven. Yeah. Productivity, not measured in the degree that your child get at graduation. Productivity should be measured in the produce produced from their learning. Same thing with engineering. And somebody will say that appears to you guys thinking too big. India is an example. Tao. India they went to Russia, brought scientists and built their own spaceship right in India, with the students standing with the scientists.
Mm-hmm.
In the project from the start to the end. When they launched their rocket, they were launching it alongside Indians who took over the project after the Indians launched their first rocket. They trained us from Russia to go back now. India run their own stuff. Now they're doing submarine.
Yeah. But Dr. Pearson, you are mentioning countries that have people that have some level of vision or have vision. They have actual desire. They have self-respect. They have dignity. We lack that. Because you can't tell me that all these governments are just there and they don't even see this. We have a huge mining sector. Where is the geology department? Where is the geophysics department at LU? Where the students go in and they're listening with ArcelorMittal and all of these mining areas, as we're talking about, to be practical, so that if these people look at what Bombing Hill decided to leave, there was no Liberian geology or geophysicists that would run those places. When Lamco left, when all of this, right now we're supposed to be training those people so that we can start going to mineral sharing. But if we decide to go to it now, we have to go and bring Ghanaians and Nigerians and Kenyans to come to be the one to run our side.
But just as we close, instead of going to bring them to take over, we can go bring them, give them the good pay, be in the university, do hands-on with our kids. By the time they finish with the kids are well groomed to take over. But that's how I want to. I gave you your sister.
Yeah, but look, you just made this point, and I already researched that. You know that in STEM, like the geology and the engineering, all this stuff in Ghana, in Dar es Salaam, we can actually beat their universities with what we are paying our professors. So we can set up actual science colleges, bring those guys in, as you are saying, and then pay them alongside our own professors too, so that they can mentor them while teaching the kids. And have certain contract, whether it's 5 years or 10 years, and then we'll wean them off. And then our professors take over. So the training can actually happen right there in Liberia.
All right. And the training live right there in Liberia. That was all we have for you today, discussing the University of Liberia in its crisis, stand up between the administration and the faculty and students and the staff and all of that. And our university is still closed. I'm a product of the university. And my heart is there. I still got my university ring. I put it on from time to time and bluff for it. But again, look, Liberia, we are not there yet, but I think there's potential for us to get there. And let us get it right. This Liberia is all we have. We can be, deported from other places, but we can never be deported from Liberia. God bless you. Have a very good night. We end with a song that says we are all Liberians. Thank you, Mr. Tao. A wonderful show tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
We are Liberia. Liberia is our home. Liberia people. Either you raise it or we want. Liberia. Either you raise it or we want. Liberia be Liberia. Hello, darling.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.